Hi, folks. I'm Peter Lemieux with Rounding Third and BadderSports. I tell baseball stories. Today's story was suggested to me by my son-in-law, Brian. I'm making it just prior to Veterans Day. I wanted to tell a story to honor veterans, and Brian identified a wonderful one who was a Major League Baseball player. The story today is about a fellow by the name of Moe Berg. I'm guessing most people don't know much about Moe Berg. That's why he deserves a story. I'll be brief, but I want to tell you what an incredible person Moe Berg was. Moe Berg was born in 1902, just to set the stage. He was a young Jewish person, but he always wanted to be, his family bought real estate in a non Jewish community. I don't think they were ashamed of being Jewish, but they wanted to associate outside of the Jewish community. And so did Moe. Moe was a brilliant student, okay? He was a great athlete, as he meant in the major league, so obviously, great athlete. People used to call him the brainiest guy in baseball. Casey Stengel, more to the point, said Moe Berg was the strangest man to ever play baseball. So let me tell you a little bit about Moe Berg. Moe Berg could speak, while he was playing baseball, he could speak 7 languages. 7 languages. Latin, Greek, Sanskrit, French, German. I mean, he just picked up on languages as just amazingly fast. He went to New York University for a year, all the time playing sports. He liked to play shortstop as a baseball player. After 1 year, he transferred to Princeton, and he graduated from Princeton magna cum laude in modern languages. He played first base, but the rest of the time at Princeton was a shortstop, not a very good hitter, until he became a senior when he actually batted .337. And then he wanted to become a major league player. He was signed by the Brooklyn Robins. That's the Robins before they became the Dodgers. And in his first year, he played shortstop and just a few games. And at the end of the year, they released him. They didn't think that Moe would ever be much of a hitter, and in truth, he never really was. In 1926, he did make it to the Chicago White Sox. They had an interesting situation going on with the White Sox. They had a catcher named Frank Brugge. I'll tell you, baseball then isn't what it's like now. There was a pitcher who refused to pitch to Frank Brugge because he was too fat. So they told Moe, I know you can catch. You've done it in practice and stuff. You go in and catch. This was Moe's first game as a catcher. They had to play the New York Yankees, Murderers Row, Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, Earl Combs, and the pitcher for the White Sox was a knuckleballer, and that's where Moe got started. Well, they ended up beating the Yankees. Moe did a great job catching. He even made the defensive play of the game when he caught a poor throw from the outfield, spun around, and tagged the runner out at home. He caught 8 more times during the final month of the season, and he became an intriguing player that stayed around playing in the major leagues for 16 years. Primarily, he was a great defensive catcher. However, Moe played shortstop, second base, third base, first base, of course. All those positions Moe could handle, although primarily a catcher. Never a great hitter. He did end his career with a .246 average, which in those times was considered pretty poor. So why 16 years for a guy who can hit very well? He rarely played half of the games. He was a defensive replacement, and he was smart. He knew the game very well. He was smarter than the other guys on the field. He helped his team figuring out what to do. He was just a tremendous leader, and his brain was as much working for him as anything else. Um, During 1932, there was a fellow who wanted to take three players to Japan to teach them about baseball. I guess they were successful looking at the 1926 world champion Dodgers. But anyway, I don't think Moe had anything to do with that. But Moe did go around to 4 or 5 universities in Japan teaching them about baseball. The other two players left, and Moe stayed behind. He went to Manchuria, Shanghai, Peking. We're now in China, right? India, Egypt, Berlin, and Germany. Moe had a great ability of language that he could fix in there, and he was a guy people liked. So he developed relationships in all of these countries. In 1932, they took more players, including Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, back to Japan to teach them more about baseball. This is where it gets interesting. One day, Moe went to visit an ambassador's daughter in a hospital. However, there are no records of Moe ever visiting this girl, but there are records that Moe was seen on the roof of the hospital building. He carried with him a camera and he filmed the city of Tokyo, all the skylines and everything like that. Returning to the United States, he went back to playing baseball. Now, World War II breaks out. After Pearl Harbor, Moe goes to work for the United States government. Now, we didn't call it CIA back then. It had different names that I'm not going to burden you with, but Moe was working for the United States government. They thought they used his film to get a layout of the Japanese city of Tokyo. A lot of people claim that that film was how Jimmy Doolittle knew where to bomb on his famous Doolittle raid after Pearl Harbor. We don't know that for sure, but we do know this. Moe Berg was working in the government with great knowledge of Japan and how their language and where things were in the country. After that, they moved him around. He was in Yugoslavia. At one time, he got invited to hear a talk by a scientist in Germany. He went there working for the CIA to try to determine if the Germans were close to getting the bomb. He reported back that they were not. That had a great influence on how we planned the rest of the war. Well, I'm not going to go on and on except to say that Moe Berg worked for the United States government right up until 1951. They never really said what he did. Everyone believes he was a spy. Moe never married. After he did that, he went and lived the remaining 20 years of his life with his sister doing nothing. He never had a job. People would ask him, "Do you still work for the government?" And he would do this, shh, just to kind of keep the mystery going. So here we have a guy intimately involved in the United States government during World War II about Japan and Germany, a spy who could speak the languages. Oh, by the way, he played 16 years in the major leagues. Do you know what? In 1958, Moe Berg got 5 votes for the Hall of Fame with a 246 average. They asked him about baseball, and Moe confessed that was his true love. There's a quote from his family that said, "I'd rather be a ball player than a justice on the United States Supreme Court." Remember, Moe Berg was an attorney also. He tried to write his memoirs. When he gave it to the publishers, they kept confusing him with Moe Howard of the Three Stooges. That insulted Moe Berg, and he just stopped writing his memoirs. He got sick at the age of 70 when he fell down and he couldn't get better. And he was in Belleville, New Jersey hospital when he died. The family said his final words were this: as he was about to die, here's a guy spy, patriot, brilliant intellect. The final words before his death were, "How did the Mets do today?" Yes, Moe Berg was a baseball man. And so am I, and I trust you guys are too. I hope you enjoyed our story, but let's remember not just Moe Berg, but so many other people whose names are only remembered by families who gave their lives or gave huge chunks of their lives to create the freedoms we enjoy. Hats off to them on Veterans Day. Hope you guys had a great time. Like, subscribe, tell me about your heroes. I'll see you back shortly for another story. Peter Lemieux with Rounding Third. Have a great day.